We now move on to the Android Basics segment, and this week we return to the privacy, permissions, and activity controls. And so we'll be discussing this, but first, I want to go in here quickly and show you an overview of the things that we're going to be talking about. And now, here's what I'm talking about. I will now navigate to this area and look at the one we're focusing on, and that's the one we mentioned, and that will be the activity control. I'll now tap on
Privacy, permissions, account activity, personal data.
I'll go ahead and tap here.
Privacy. Navigate up, button, out of list.
I will scroll toward the bottom of the phone and tap on the activity control.
Showing items 7 to 16 of 16. Activity controls, choose the activities and info you allow Google to save.
Here is activity controls, and it talks about what it does. Now, frankly, this has a lot of items, and I do encourage people, most especially people who are data conscious or don't want Google seeing what they're doing or things like that, and all of that, you really need to go in here and customize this to your own liking, because Google lets you choose what they can access and what they cannot access, what can be stored and what should not be stored, and if it should be stored, for how long that should be stored. So again, it is important to go in here and go through these items. We're not going to be able to go into each and every one of these individually, but we show you what is here, and so that you can go in here and customize them as you want. And then after showing you, we'll discuss these items or talk about this area in general and see what our consensus or disagreements are about this area. So here, let's go in here.
Google Play Services. Close, button, out of list.
When you go into this area, you're presented with a screen where you need to choose the account whose activity you would like to manage. In other words, if you have 2 accounts or 3 accounts with Google and you would like to see how those things are being managed or how you go about customizing them to the way you like, then you choose that account here. I'll tap on my account, for example, and we'll take a look at what we see.
Warren Carr, warcare@gmail.com.
I'll tab here to activate my account.
Google Play Services. Navigate up, button, out of. Google Play Services. Navigate up, button, out.
Upon tapping on that, we hear Google Play Activity Services or Google Play Services. So in other words, a lot of these have to do with Google Play Services because this involves things like apps and the like. I'll put my finger down.
The data saved in your account helps give you more personalized experiences across all Google services. Choose which settings will save data in your Google account.
Next,
Safer with Google.
a heading that says Safer with Google, and below that,
You control what data gets saved to your account.
and
Learn more. Link.
you could tap on Learn More. Next,
Web and app activity.
Web and App Activity. This is a category too, and below that,
Saves your activity on Google sites and apps, including associated info like location, to give you faster searches, better recommendations, and more personalized experiences in Maps, Search, and other Google services. Learn more. Link.
and Learn More. And below that, we have 2 buttons, one to the left and one to the right. The one to the left says On,
On.
and to the right of that,
Turn off, button.
Turn Off, meaning you could turn off the above mentioned stuff with app activity and web activity and things like that. Now below those 2 buttons, one to the left, the On and the Turn Off,
View all. Link.
We have a view all, meaning if you tap here, you could see all those things.
Subsettings.
And under the subsettings,
Checked. Include Chrome history and activity from sites, apps, and devices that use Google services. Checkbox.
next,
Checked. Saves your activity from apps on this device. Checkbox.
next,
Auto delete on.
auto delete on. And you want to keep this on because you could set as to how often or how frequently these activities should be deleted.
Button to set auto delete options.
There you go.
Link to manage related activities. Link.
Or you could tap there to manage the related activities.
Manage all web and app activity.
You could manage all the web and app activity.
Location history.
And then there's the location and history.
Saves where you go with your devices, even when you aren't using a specific Google service, to give you personalized maps, recommendations based on places you've visited, and more.
So in other words, just taking your phone around with you, even though you're not using it, something may be going on in the background.
Learn more. Link.
And you could tap there to learn more.
On.
And that is on. You don't want it?
Turn off button.
There's a turn off again. So we have those two buttons again. The on right there to the left and the turn off to the right.
Devices on this account.
And then we get to devices on your account. That's another subheader.
Collapsed. Devices on this account button.
If you tap here, you're going to see your devices. So let's just quickly go in here so that you know what I'm talking about. I'll tap here to see what I'm talking about.
Google. Expanded. Devices on this account button. Expanded.
And we got,
Checked. Pixel 6 Pro. This device checkbox.
there's a Pixel 6 Pro.
Pixel 4 checkbox.
There's my Pixel 4.
Checked. Moto Z3 checkbox.
Doggone, I have a Moto Z3 on there.
Pixel 3 checkbox. Checked. Nexus 6 checkbox.
You get a drift of what I'm talking about. You could see devices here that you have. Let's collapse this and go below here.
Devices on this account. Expanded. Devices on this account. Collapsed.
Now that we collapse that, let's look at what's below here.
Subsettings.
Next,
Checked. Include the YouTube videos you watch. Checkbox. Include the YouTube videos you checked. Include your searches on YouTube. Checkbox. Include your searches on YouTube. Not checked. Include YouTube voice and audio activity. Checkbox.
so as you can see, you can uncheck things that you don't want. Even if you have it turned on, you can uncheck individual stuff that you don't want or check individual things that you want checked.
Include YouTube voice and audio activity. Auto delete off.
And this auto delete is off. I could turn that on again and then choose how long it should be before it automatically gets deleted.
Button to set auto delete options.
There you go.
Link to manage related activities. Link. Manage history.
The next item we want to look at here will be ad personalization. In other words, you personalize how ads can be sent to you. Here's what I'm talking about.
Ad personalization.
Ad personalization.
You can make ads more useful to you.
All right.
Ad personalization is on.
And it says ad personalization is on.
Go to ad settings. Link.
And we can go in here to the settings and see how these things are personalized. Sometimes the personalization, don't be surprised to see that things that you didn't opt into, but because maybe you've been to a site or things like that, it may think that you are interested in such a thing. So let's go in here and show you what I'm talking about.
Google Play Services. Navigate up button.
I'll put my finger near the top.
Ad personalization, heading 1.
And we got,
Google makes your ads more useful on Google services such as Search or YouTube and on websites and apps that partner with Google to show ads.
next.
Learn why you're seeing an ad. Link.
Next.
Ad personalization is on, heading 2. Ad personalization is on, switch. Collapsed, advanced, button.
We have the advanced. You could tap here or next.
Google, button.
There's a Google. These ones would be coming from Google.
Adventure games, button.
Adventure games,
Android apps, button.
Android apps.
Android OS, button.
Those are the categories.
Antivirus and malware, button. Apparel, button. Apple iOS, button.
Okay, as you can get the drift here as I go through these things.
Audio and music software, button. Audio equipment, button.
Now, it's likely that I probably have typed these things or one of these things into my search history, or I have been to a page relating to these type of things, and those things get put here. And this is when sometimes we see ads that just come out of nowhere, or we see surveys that come from Google, and you kind of wonder why.
Autos and vehicles, button.
Autos and vehicles,
Banking, button.
banking,
Beauty and fitness, button.
beauty and fitness.
Books and literature, button.
Okay.
Business and productivity software, button.
I want to tap on one of these just for giggles. So I'll put my finger down in the middle, and so it's going to be like a lottery, which one I tap on or which one my finger lands on.
Apparel, button.
I landed on apparel. I'll tap here.
Ad setting, close, button.
And putting my finger down,
Apparel, heading 1.
and I got
Google estimates this interest based on your activity on Google services such as search or YouTube while you were signed in.
exactly. That's what I was talking about. Next,
Manage your activity, link.
I could tap there to manage that and say, hey, I don't want it. Or
Close, button.
I can close it.
Turn off, button.
Or say, turn it off. And of course, so if you don't like that, you turn it off. And that's what I'm talking about. And now my crew and I are going to discuss these things. And again, you guys take your time to go in here, clean up the things you don't want to be in here, and include things or keep things that you would like to keep. And that's the overview, guys. Let's talk about this area, the activity control. I think it's a very important area because as you can see, there's so many things in there. I just even touched the tip of the iceberg, so to speak, because there's so many things in there. And we do encourage people, as I indicated, to go in here and adjust things to their own liking. If you don't want to be getting ads sent to you from some women's store, or if you don't want ads sent to you from some guy's store, that kind of stuff, you need to go in here and really personalize and take things that you don't want to, turn them off and stuff like that. Guys, what are some of these areas that you find either annoying to you or something that you like? I think I like the idea that Google is giving us a lot of choices in here. Prior till now, though, if it were not for all that European stuff and the stuff also going in here in the US, everything, we didn't see these things. But now we have the ability to go in here and choose what we want. So I think I kind of like what is going on. You can turn it off.
When we're talking about personalized ads, is that for websites or apps or just anywhere where there's ads? Because that's what I wasn't sure about. I usually turn that off because I find it a bit spooky. When I've been looking something up and then I get similar ads, I'm like, oh no. And sometimes the personalized ads are hilarious. Like I was on Facebook the other week and there was an advert saying the army still needs you, and I thought, I don't think it does.
Well, you can be a chaplain. You can be a chaplain there, though, if
No,
you wanted to.
you can't. No, you can't. In the UK Army, you have to train. If you're doing anything with the army, you have to be capable to be a soldier. So I don't think the army needs me. I also don't think I need to be in the army. To be quite honest, I'm happy being a local preacher in my local churches. Really, that's I'm not sure I'd be up for the whole battles. I think that's a bit too much excitement for me. Um, and then I had one a couple of days later that the police needed me. I thought again, I doubt it. But so are we? I mean, that was Facebook, but are we talking about, where are these ads appearing? Because that wasn't very clear to me. I would turn them off anyway. I don't mind having it keep a record of what YouTube videos I watch though, because that sometimes that can be quite handy when you've seen a good video and then somebody's rung you up or something and you've forgotten all about it, and then a few days later you think, oh, what was that song, or what was that sermon or talk or about whatever that I saw the other day. And if you didn't have a record of your recently viewed videos, you might not be able to find it again because there's so much stuff on there. So I don't mind having a record of the videos I've watched. I find that quite helpful. I guess if there was anything I wanted to watch that I didn't want in the in that record, I could always sign out first, and I'd probably watch it on the computer
Yeah, or go
instead.
incognito. Yeah.
Yeah, but I find it quite helpful, especially with my studies at the moment, because part of those includes watching various videos of other people's sermons or of hymns or whatever. Because for anyone who doesn't know, I'm studying to be a local preacher, so there's quite a lot of hymns, especially, and some of them I like, and some of them not so much. But then I can add the ones I liked to my liked videos as well, and or find them again if it says watch this and I think, oh, I've already watched this, I can find it from before. But the ads, I mean, I suppose there might be ads in YouTube as well, unless you pay for YouTube, and I'm not doing that, so too many people want your money for these things.
Going through that overview that I just went through, you
Yeah.
have the web controls, and then you have app controls. And so when if you have apps personalized, then you're basically getting things tailored to you. Like I showed that about apparel. The whole idea is
Yeah.
that if you went to a website, or maybe I don't have Facebook, for example, but if I mistakenly click on a web page belonging to Facebook or anything having to do with Facebook, I may get ads from that because Google assumes that I like that page that I just went to that Facebook page. And so randomly, those things would come to me because I have been on Facebook. But if I don't want ads from that Facebook page, then I'll say, turn that off. I don't want that. Or just because I went to a certain store doesn't mean that I'm interested in women's clothing. I simply went there with my wife or whatever, and all of a sudden, so I'm getting ads from that. I don't want that. So these are the kind of stuff that people need to be on the lookout for, because you may see ads like that and you kind of wonder, why on earth or how on earth are these things coming to me? But they all come from such visits to physical stores, or from web pages that you open, or maybe there's a pop-up somewhere, and that is part of that. And Google just assumes that you like that page. And so you go in here and you want to make sure you turn those things off, and you can turn them back on if you decide later on, hey, I think I like that McFrugal's or whatever, that store, they may have some coffee in there you may want to drink. Who knows? John, have you ever been...
When you're talking about the adverts appearing on web pages when you're doing searches and things like that, are you? And or are we talking about them appearing on apps, or do you just mean anywhere that you can get ads?
It's both of them, because when you have an app that sends you ads, like free apps will send you ads. Now you can control those in here too, because if you listen to that overview that I have. You have apps as well. So if you go in there, um, you could be you could target, say, hey, I don't want this ad or whatever. I don't want ads coming
Mhm.
from here and there. But there's some of them that you can't necessarily turn off. But it's monumental, it's huge. And I don't think we have time to go into each and every one of these things. But it,
No.
it it doesn't mean you're not going to get ads, but you can choose whether just randomize my ads or let me kind of choose where I want ads coming from. But you will have ads regardless.
I mean, yeah, I don't normally buy things that ads show me anyway, so I don't bother with personalized ones because I feel like if you have personalized ads, it'll be looking more closely at what you're searching to personalize those more, and maybe they'll be looking anyway because Big Brother is watching you and all that. But I don't know. I'm afraid the personalized ads they do creep me out a little bit when they're a bit too close to what I've been looking at. I'm like, oh no, oh that's too weird. I don't like it, so I always turn it off.
Yeah, that reminds me of something that happened to me on Facebook a few times actually. Now this is unrelated because Facebook serves their own ads, but they do the same type of thing where they sort of try to track you and stuff. And I've actually got an ad for an item on eBay that is literally my eBay listing that I posted. And I'm like, I don't want to buy that. I'm selling that. So they
I
definitely
talk
know that
about
I've been to
crazy.
that. Yeah, they definitely know that I've been to that page because they're recommending I go back and buy the thing. So, but yeah, I think generally,
What were you selling? That's what I want to know. I'm
oh, I
curious
have no
now.
idea. I sell stuff all the time on eBay, maybe a
Oh,
phone or something like that.
I was gonna say, was it a phone? Because I mean, yeah, you are interested in phones, but yeah, not your own that you don't want anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to buy it and send it to myself and pay eBay all the fees for nothing. No, thank you. I'll pass on that. But yeah, I think generally it's good that Google has this transparency. I think it can freak a lot of people out if they go in there and look like, wait, you're tracking this, you're tracking that. But overall, it's a good thing to have control over it. I personally don't um, mind it. I mean, it made me laugh in that one situation on Facebook, but um, if I'm gonna have to sit through an ad, and I guess this applies mostly to YouTube because on web pages it's easy enough to ignore ads if they're even accessible. But generally, if I'm gonna be shown an ad, it would be nice if it's something I care about, not just something completely random. But everybody feels differently about it, and that's why it's good that those controls are in there.
I just wonder how much of it is a bit of a smokescreen, though, and this is because I'm a jaded cynic. But like, I wonder whether there's still stuff tracking you anyway in the background, even if you turn these things off. Um, but that's just me.
Well, there are always things that will track you. Even your cell towers will track
Your
you and things
ISPs
like that.
definitely track you.
Uh, Another thing that the ads are for, most especially when we have that COVID thing hit, you notice if you're using something like Google Rewards, for example, it used to be that I went down to the hardware store and I got an ad based on that. But with those things, when we were not moving around, you notice that ads or the Google Rewards things now took on a different form and shape. And so those ads that you see or pages you went to, you can also get ads or surveys from Google Rewards based on those businesses online that you've been to, and so this is part of that stuff as well. So if you want to be able to accumulate those Google Rewards, then if you don't turn that off, then you get more frequent surveys. Sometimes I get like 5 or 6 back to back. I finish one and then another comes in, and I'm like, my gosh, what's going on with this? And I'm up to like 50 whatever dollars on my Google reward. I spend it as quickly as they come, but I've kind of accumulated it a little bit for a while now. I haven't been spending much, but so That's another way to get money to buy apps that you're interested in too. If you, at least if you're going to get ads, you might as well get something back for it, right? I mean, those peanuts.
So
Speaking
this is dollars to spend in the Play Store you're talking about.
exactly, like Google
Yeah.
Rewards, yeah.
Yeah.